My name's Jeremy Hodge. I'm the Managing Director of Cherwell. We're a medium-sized distributor based in the Midlands in cleaning, hygiene and catering ranges. We've got two branches, one in Birmingham and one near Leamington Spa. We're about approximately 5 million turnover with 30 odd employees. We came upon Merlin some years ago. We were originally using a Sage 500 ERP system, and we were looking at the possibilities to move forward our whole IT platform and approach. Our interest really is a recognition that IT is going to play an increasingly important part in development of all of our businesses, and particularly in our industry with the growth of online and so forth. And we wanted to be sure that our existing Sage system really met or was fit for purpose to fulfil our longer term objectives. So we quite simply undertook a benchmarking exercise where we looked at, we created a specification, looked at Sage and invited one or two other vendors to that particular benchmark. One of those was Merlin software, and another, for example, was the Microsoft Dynamics, the Navision, the ex-Navision product as it was then. We were quite careful in our choice of systems to compare against. We did a lot of research before we made the system selections, and we came across Merlin in particular as a recommendation from within the industry as a very capable system that, as it was described to me, punched above its weight. So we put Merlin against a product like Microsoft Dynamics to really give it a good test. I have to say we were fantastically pleased with the solution that the Merlin business system was able to give us. It was as feature rich and content driven as a system like Microsoft Dynamics, but in terms of all the service advantages, the implementation advantages and the cost advantages, it was clearly for us and I would suggest for our industry a very superior product. One of our key requirements in choosing a new system for the future was to ensure that we had a very tight integration between the back office environment and the online environment, so that we could make sure that for very simple things like changes that took place in the back office could be rippled through to any online environment and vice versa without a large maintenance effort. Now this required a high level of integration, or the possibility that we could achieve a high level of integration through the systems, through things such as web services and such like. So we focused quite particularly on those sorts of integration aspects that Merlin could provide us, in addition to all the usual business process type features. We felt that our final decision really rested on the ability of Merlin to service all of those integration objectives, to meet our longer term purpose, and at the same time to enable us to achieve improvements in our every day-to-day working, because we were at this point still talking about something that was a little way off as opposed to immediate. On implementation of Merlin, what we've found is that we have been able to make significant improvements in all our business processes throughout the sales order processing environment, all the way through to the warehousing. And in this respect, I'd recommend to you the routing feature within Merlin, which allows you effectively to receive an order and at the point of order receipt to place it on a delivery manifest, so you've got complete cradle to grave control over how that order is dealt with through the entire business supply chain process. We use this feature quite extensively, and in fact have worked with Merlin Business Systems in order to develop that feature further. And one of the things I would suggest to you that is particularly good about Merlin is that if users come up with really good ideas that they can generalise in their base system, they will adopt them, help you with the development of those, and actually roll those out to other users. So there's a strong sense within the Merlin community that you're actually sharing the cost of all of these developments in continually improving the product, and that is a very good feature of working with the Merlin Business Systems community in general. I think if we talked about the implementation of Merlin, we set them a tall task. We said that we required an implementation on the 1st of June and that we wouldn't have a decision for them until the 31st of January. As anybody who's been involved in IT implementations knows, that a 5-month horizon is particularly demanding for all parties involved. So we sat down with Merlin and had a discussion around how we were going to achieve this, who was going to put what resources in where and what particular aspects. Between us we came up with a workable plan, and I'm happy to say that we hit our implementation deadline from the 1st of January, and within 3 weeks all of the inevitable early doors problems that people have with systems were solved, and we were able to move on quite happily into the development phase of making Merlin work for the business rather than just be another business system. What I can tell you is that we've been able to achieve some significant savings with the implementation of Merlin. For example, in our customer services environment, our overall processing costs, including both the actual time and labour content, we've been able to reduce by 20 to 25%. And in our purchasing environment, as another example, even more dramatic savings of around 50% as a result of being able to automate a whole series of processes that hitherto we were only able to do in sort of manual approaches. So we are very, very pleased with Merlin as having delivered a whole set of service as well as cost advantages for us. We would also like to recommend Merlin in terms of as a supplier. We find them particularly approachable, always open to listen to customers' ideas about how the base product can be improved, always amenable to discussing with you specific requirements within your industry. And I know, for example, that our industry has that the price support module is quite a good example of that. It's something that's, while not unique in terms of enterprises across the UK economy, does have a particular requirement within our own industry, and this is something that I've not yet seen in any other product where the base model contains this ability to handle price support rebates. So that is quite a unique feature. If I had to pick one particular Merlin feature, I think what I would pick is less an individual module within the system, all of which are very good, but the ability of that to be able to pick Merlin up, to put it alongside other systems, achieve a tight integration, and to generally lower your overall cost of ownership of IT systems. So effectively you can put more and more of your base systems back into Merlin. That is such, has been for us personally such an advantage, because we have been able to reduce the cost of ownership of a system and the maintenance that goes with that. You know, we can go to bed comfortably in the knowledge that Merlin Business Systems will look after most of our IT requirement, and certainly all of the critical areas of our IT requirement, and that is something that is very comforting to have. So my advice to other companies is, if you are serious about changing your IT systems, serious about getting competitive advantage in our market, then my wholehearted recommendation with you should be look at Merlin Business Systems.